Andrew Jukes, born in 1815 in the city of Bombay, was an English theologian and author who went through a number of denominational changes throughout his life. In his early life, he followed in the footsteps of his father and worked for the East India Company, but after a few years he became an Anglican curate and served in England. It was not long, however, until he became convinced of Baptist teachings, and underwent a believer's baptism at the George Street Baptist Chapel. For a time he joined the Plymouth Brethren, but eventually founded an independent chapel. He wrote books on a range of theological topics, defending the Trinity, denouncing infant baptism, exploring biblical typology, among many other things. But perhaps his most well-known book is The Second Death and the Restitution of All Things, published in 1867. In that book, he lays out arguments in favor of biblical inspiration and Christian universalism, with very many biblical references throughout the book. When referring to the tension between the biblical texts that point to judgment and the texts that point to the salvation of all, Jukes writes that many people simply conclude that everlasting torment is taught in the Bible, and that the restitution of all things, whatever it may mean, does not mean the reconciliation to God of all men. He writes, "Not a few, therefore, have confessed that there is some difficulty here, which as yet they cannot solve or reconcile. Is the mystery beyond our present light? Or is there any? And if so, what is the key to it? The truth which solves the riddle is to be found in those same scriptures which seem to raise the difficulty, and lies in the mystery of the will of our ever-blessed God as to the process and stages of redemption. 1. First, his will by some to bless and save others, by a firstborn seed, the firstborn from the dead, Colossians 1:18, to save and bless the later born. 2. His will therefore to work out the redemption of the lost by successive ages or dispensations, or, to use the language of St. Paul, according to the purpose of the ages, Ephesians 3:11. And 3. Lastly, his will, thus meeting the nature of our fall, to make death, judgment, and destruction the means and way to life, acquittal, and salvation. In other words, through death to destroy him that has the power of death, that is, the devil, and to deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. Hebrews 2:14. These truths throw a flood of light on Scripture and enable us at once to see order and agreement, where without this light there seems perplexing inconsistency. Andrew Jukes died in 1901. He had had a great impact on the church in his day, even heavily influencing Hudson Taylor, the well-known missionary to China.